justice will prevail. Or not, but that is still justice. Hey everyone, it's Travis the Pagan Scholar coming at you from my patio on this lovely, beautiful, beautiful rainy day. I apologize for the lighting. It's kind of weird, but you know what? Don't care. Don't care at all because, oh, this weather, it's amazing. As a Texan, we appreciate rain a lot. All right, we are talking about justice today in this episode of Tarot and Poetry. In honor of the rain, I decided to go for Cloudbreak. It is a Chardonnay because Chardonnays are typically dry. Well, not typically, but they can be. This one is very even, very balanced, much like Justice. Kind of a buttery finish. It's pretty nice, actually. Cheers to Justice! It's going to be kind of interesting because as I was preparing, mentally, percolating all the thoughts for Justice, I was like, let me look up the actual interpretation of justice in Benebell's book, and turns out my entire tarot reading career I've interpreted justice in the reverse. I mean, not that I read cards in reverse, I do and I don't, it depends on the reading, on the situation. Justice, my view of justice is skewed, which says a lot about me and the society that I live in. So, the theme of justice is external balance. The Justice card can suggest that balance will be restored in the seeker's life, or that there is balance to the condition of his or her life, but it is hard for the seeker to see that at the moment. The outcome that will best bring balance to the seeker's life is the one that should occur. That's okay, kind of vague, but alright. So, to read the reversed meaning, which is a fantastic and probably doubling part of this book. What is fair will not feel fair to the seeker. One more time. What is fair will not feel fair to the seeker. Doesn't that suck? Alright, so now that I've gotten the official definition out of the way of justice, justice is a man-made idea. It is not found in nature. There is no justice in the tooth and claw of nature. There's order, there's pattern, there's repetition, and a way of things, but if there is a imbalance in nature, the justice of nature is just to restore a pattern. Man-made justice is something happened against me. I don't like it. That's not the way it should be. Restore order. Give me justice. That's not how it happens in nature. Anytime that I've ever read justice, it's been basically objectivity. What can you say about this situation from an objective standpoint? That's basically justice to me. Being able to truthfully say X, Y, and Z has happened, this is justice. Justice, however, is fallible in the human context. As a man-made idea, justice is incredibly fallible. We talk about justice not being served, how the bad guys got away with it, how the millionaires are still rich and the poor are still poor. There is no justice in the system and it's flawed and it's falling apart. That in itself is part of the aspect of justice. Justice doesn't always win. Justice is just as fallible as God. And as pagans, our gods are pretty fallible. I realized that I didn't show you the tarot card representations of justice, and that is a very important part of this particular video. Okay, for the Rider-Waite deck, we've got kind of a douchebag. I don't know, he just looks like Joffrey in Game of Thrones. He's holding a sword in one hand, and he's got scales in the other, and it's bland, and it's boring, and it's flat, and it's balanced, and it's justice. There's nothing exciting about this card. It is objectivity exemplified. I'm going to go to the Night Sun Tarot deck next. This is the exact same person, only 30 years later, with a little bit more magic involved. The spiral is pretty nice. What looks like an eye right in the very middle of the card is pretty neat. But again, it's all about balance. There's the Alpha and the Omega. Underneath the scales, beginning and ending, everything panoramic, objectivity. There is a Justice gavel, anyways, on this sword type thing, I don't even know what this is, on this symbol in front of the judge of justice, but I don't know, it's just kind of blasé. that's really all I've got for Night Sun. In the Fantasy Tarot deck, we've got this lovely creature, and I like this because it is not a balanced card. And that, boys and girls, is why you never delete anything until the video is completely finished and edited. So here's a bunch of Instagram-esque photos I took while I recap what I accidentally deleted. Justice is a human construct. It is not found in nature. Nature rebalances things and it finds patterns, but there is no justice in nature. Therefore, we throw tantrums and we say, this isn't just. Well, sweetheart, the world isn't just. And so we have to live in spite of this. In spite of the fact that it's an unfair world, we must try to remain just and offer justice. So I was actually going to show you guys a fourth card. This is the Witchy Tarot that I had as a teenager. That's super, super embarrassing. And the very first tarot reading I ever did with that deck, that was my signifier card, the card that represented the querent, myself. And so, yeah, anytime I've ever thought of justice, I've always thought of that card. And I've also kind of thought of that card as being my card. Anyways, let's see if we can go back to the video. The justice of the world, that's a very human construct, and justice does not always prevail. So, for my poem for justice, my jaded justice poem, I'm going with Rupert Brooke, the poet of England. He's kind of a douchebag. Okay, I'm sorry, British YouTubers. I don't know if he's near and dear to your heart or not, but he's kind of a dick. But he wrote really good poetry. So, ad hominem aside, we're going to read Failure. Because God put his adamantine fate between my sullen heart and its desire, I swore that I would burst the iron gate, rise up and curse him on his throne of fire. Earth shuddered at my crown of blasphemy, but love was a flame around my feet. Proud up the golden stair I strode and beat thrice upon the gate and entered with a cry. All the great courts were quiet in the sun and full of vacant echoes. Moss had grown over the grassy pavement and begun to creep within the dusty council halls. An idle wind blew round an empty throne and stirred the heavenly curtains on the walls. Okay, this is kind of like justice and kind of not. This is Travis Pagan Scholar's justice. This is not holistic tarot justice unless it's reversed. So, or not even that. This is just all me, actually, I think. So, this poem speaks to the idea that justice will prevail, that we will conquer, that the right thing will happen against all odds. Justice! Yeah, America, or something. But that's not always going to happen. I thought about saving this poem for the Hermit because it's sort of like God is dead, because God isn't there in the poem. You know, after the antagonist struggles through the poem and commits blasphemies, and he's like, fuck you, I'm gonna smite God and make him believe that I'm here, that I am real, that my struggles exist. He gets there and the throne room is empty. And that's justice, because justice doesn't always prevail. Justice is not always served, and sometimes from an objective, panoramic perspective, you don't get catharsis. Sometimes there is no happy ending, and sometimes there's no ending. I mean, like, this is a very, very nihilistic interpretation of justice, I know. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I don't believe in justice. I'm just saying that a slightly more adult interpretation of justice, not adult, but a different interpretation of justice would be that sometimes justice is not present. Sometimes justice is fallible. Sometimes we need to remember that. Justice is not a universal concept. It comes from us. We make justice, just like we make meaning. Just like we make all of these other concepts to placate ourselves and to create our narratives and to create our stories and give ourselves meaning, authentic meaning. But we need to remember justice is just as made up as a bunch of other things that we tell ourselves. Okay, so if I haven't depressed you and made you want to leave my channel and never come back and listen to this terribly, terribly depressive talk, thank you so much for watching. I am enjoying making these videos because it's making me re-examine my perspectives on tarot and how I've interpreted them. I don't think there are any announcements. I still have not smoked, in case you're wondering. It's been 10 days. 10 days. Fuck yes, that's right. So yeah, thank you so much for your support. It's kind of hell, but it's getting less to be hell, so good things are happening. Alright, so thank you so much for watching, everybody, and as always, merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.